on this episode of The Strange Medicine of Alice Strange.
So I look at fear as like my best friend. I look at failure as like, yeah, okay, well, what are you teaching me today? I knew I was a medium by the age of 5, and I started having all these gifts come up. And I turned to the one person who I thought I could trust at the time, which was my mother. She basically told me it was evil and I needed to shut it off, and even tried to have me exercised. The whole fake it till you make it is like, it's a bullshit thing to say.
We shouldn't be faking anything. Authenticity is so valuable. And so when I frame it for myself or for my clients, I'm always saying, embody the version that you want to be, the part of you that already exists that's just sleeping right now. What do you think would have happened to you if you had denied those gifts?
I wouldn't be here any longer.
I came to the same conclusion. I think it's when it's something that big, for some people, it is such a deep part of themselves that when you deny that, when you repress that, it's hard to continue.
And so the vet said that she wasn't going to make it, and I was just so distraught. And so, I'm like, she was my best friend. I would go out there every day and I would just hold her and I would just talk to her and I would just rock her. I healed her with the help of my team, my guides, my angels, but I healed her. To really truly see your authentic self and to accept yourself, that's priceless.
Welcome, seekers, to The Strange Medicine of Alice Strange, the podcast where modern science meets with what lies beyond what we can see. Here, we delve into psychology, spirituality, science, and the occult. Each episode will explore the bigger questions of existence, the nature of the soul, our internal world, and how we can understand them through spirituality and magic. This podcast is a sanctuary for the soul. Alongside science and spirituality, we also learn the power of compassion and the magic of extending kindness to others. For in the act of giving, we receive. In the act of teaching, we learn. This is a journey into the depths of the mind as well as the heart, where every lesson is a step toward oneness, every insight a bridge to understanding, and every act of kindness a spell that transforms the world. So join me, Alice Estrella Strange, on this journey of self-discovery, scientific wonders, ancient knowledge, and finding the strange medicine within yourself. Hello, seekers. I am Alice Estrella Strange, your favorite spiritual coach and witchy advisor, and today we are talking to Liza Lomax. Liza Lomax empowers high achievers to unlock their full potential. She specializes in cultivating confidence, fostering strength, and enhancing vitality for a holistic approach to success. By addressing the mind-body relationship, Liza guides ambitious individuals to break free from the cycle of prioritizing external demands, enabling them to experience genuine happiness across all aspects of life, and embark on a transformative journey towards lasting fulfillment. In this interview, we talk about mediumship, animal communication, and being psychic as a child, as well as difficult upbringings, the phrase, fake it till you make it, mirror work, and how to learn to love your body. And we both share a personal win about a sudden, oh, I actually love my body moment. And if you don't know me, I'm Alice. I help people tap into their psychic abilities and up their witchy game. And on this podcast, we explore spirituality, psychology, science, and magic, and where they all intersect. And if you're interested in joining a free community for spiritual individuals to connect and support each other, you can go to my Patreon and join as a free member and get to hang out with me in free events every week, get early access to my content, and get exclusive promotional offers. And I want to give a little warning. Mercury must have been going through it when we did our interview because the first half of this recording doesn't have any video. The internet actually crashed 4 times, but we pushed through to make this happen for you. And the audio is messed up for the first 3 minutes, but bear with me, it will fix itself. And if you like spirituality, psychology, self-development, and learning, make sure you subscribe or follow so you don't miss anything. Take care, love yourself, and remember, you don't have to do it alone.
Hello and welcome, Liza. I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you for joining me on my podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Would you be interested in introducing yourself to everyone, our audience, and just giving us a little information about who you are and what you do?
Yes. So I am Liza Lomax, Liza with a Z. It's actually pronounced like Liza Minnelli. My dad was a little obsessed with Liza Minnelli, so had to name me after her. Fun fact, I actually did 15 years of acting, and yes, I do sing as well. So a little bit about me is I'm a world traveler. I'm kind of known around my friends as the Where's Waldo in the world because they never know where I'm at. And every time I talk to somebody, they're like, Where are you today? So I've been traveling for the last 4 years and I've lived in over 11 countries.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's a little fun. That's a little like, my personal life and I do it for, I work predominantly online, so I can be pretty much anywhere in the world. I have no plants, no pets, no little kids, so why not travel the world and do what you're passionate about because you can do it online. And my business is called Love Your Body Coaching, and I specialize in mending the mind body connection with overachievers, perfectionists, people pleasers, that often keeps us stuck in that not prioritizing ourselves. We might be in the spins of emotional eating, have a negative mindset or a body image about ourselves, have poor health, and it's affecting their business now. And so I really work with those people like the womenpreneurs and the solopreneurs and the business and spiritual coaches, because those are the ones that are usually not prioritizing themselves. They're more focused on the business, and then we have to really think about it. It's like our businesses would not thrive or survive without us. Like we created our
Mm,
business. So it wouldn't exist without us. So
right.
making ourselves a priority, taking care of ourselves first, that in turn takes care of everything else around you. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Beautiful.
And
And
I
I
do
do
love
love
that
that
finding
finding
the
the
wellness,
wellness,
the
the
balance
balance
for
for
those
those
business
business
owners,
owners,
because
because
I
I
think
think
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
entrepreneurs,
entrepreneurs,
solopreneurs
solopreneurs
are, they
they
actually
actually
are
are
just
just
not
not
focusing
focusing
on
on
themselves.
themselves.
They're
They're
so
so
focused
focused
elsewhere.
elsewhere.
And
And
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
hear a
hear a
lot of
lot of
people
people
out
out
here
here
doing
doing
that.
that.
So
So
I
I
think
think
that's a
that's a
very
very
cool
cool
thing.
thing.
There isn't. And I do have a little spin on that too, because I'm also a medium, a certified intuitive channeler and healer. I do animal communication. I am an international speaker, and I incorporate a lot of my modalities into my coaching so I can get really on a deeper level spiritually, because a lot of us were spiritually traumatized growing up. I don't know about you, but I know I was big time. And it just helps us on a much deeper level, and I can get on a much deeper level with people.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I
I
think
think
that's
that's
so
so
beautiful.
beautiful.
I love to ask our guests a little bit about their backstory, kind of like what got them to where they are now. And so I would love to
Yeah.
hear about your backstory. Maybe how did you get into doing so many different diverse modalities and all these things?
Oh goodness. Yeah. So the why I do what I do is based on my own transformational story. I'm the oldest of four, and I took on the role of being the parent, being the caregiver. And with that came a lot of responsibilities. I became the overachiever, the people pleaser, the perfectionist. And it sent me in the spins of emotional eating. I had eating disorders, toxic relationships. I was addicted to diet pills, did drugs and alcohol, and I've been 100 pounds and I've been over 300 pounds. And it never mattered where I was on the scale, no pun intended. I was really unhappy with who I saw in the mirror. And even after losing 105 pounds, I still, did not like what I saw in the mirror, did not like my reflection. And so I knew that it was like, okay, well, this isn't really just about the outside appearance or something really going on internally. But I was really fearful about doing that work because we're fearful of the unknown, like what's going on. And then to kind of go backwards a little bit, I knew I was a medium by the age of 5. And then I was speaking to, then I was seeing angels at 8, and I was speaking to animals, and I started having all these gifts come up. And I turned to the one person who I thought I could trust at the time, which was my mother. And she basically told me it was evil and I needed to shut it off. And even tried to have me exorcised, like had to have an exorcism on me because it was evil. And the fact that I was gay and of course had to hide in the closet. I actually was tried they tried to put me through conversion therapy as well.
Oh wow.
So I have a very traumatizing childhood growing up, and And even though I've gone through all of that, I still am like so grateful for the person that it made me today. And I'm able to help people transition through the body image and the mindset and the people pleasing and the perfectionism. And then fast forward, it's like I knew that I had to do the work. And I knew that I had to do that inner work because really the weight is just a manifestation of what a person doesn't want to deal with on a, on a much deeper level, especially if they've been in the spins of emotional eating or been on the yo-yo diet train or have done all the things and are constantly losing and gaining, and they're in that cycle. And emotional eating is just a symptom of something that somebody doesn't want to have a heart to heart, face to face conversation about, too. So I had to do the work on myself. I had to do the work, do the inner work. I say it's an inside out job. That's actually the title of my book that I am actually in the middle of writing right now. It's an inside out job where you have to do the inner work first before anything else, if what you desire is to change the outside, which really is once you change the inside, you don't worry about the outside. No, no. But most people like they want to, be healthy, want to be fit, they want to be athletic, or they want to, they want to feel good about themselves. And but it all starts inside first. So getting, so that's where I was like, well, this is the work that I really need to be doing. And then I just incorporated all of my gifts into that as well, and knew that could heal them on a much, like I said, a much deeper level. Because, and this has happened to me a few times in my life, is that if we take care of the handling and healing and working through releasing, letting go of the emotional baggage, the mental baggage, the psychological baggage, the spiritual baggage, the physical weight actually drops off. I mean, I've had it happen to me numerous times. And so
Oh, wow.
we are such a collector of so many things
Right.
that once you release it, like it goes away. Yes, yes. The physical weight actually drops off. It's amazing. That's the magic pill. That's the magic potion that people are looking for. Yes.
That's beautiful. And you talk a lot about self-love. Self-love, and I think
Yes.
that's been a very transformational thing for you. It has for myself as well. And I know for myself that accepting my spiritual gifts and really embracing them was an act of radical self-love.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
very much often wonder what would have happened to me if I had continued to shut it down and not try to address it and
Yeah.
pretend it wasn't there. What do you think would have happened to you if you had denied those gifts and ignored them, suppressed them?
I wouldn't be here any longer. No, I wouldn't. I've had two instances in my life where I could have died.
Mm.
And, when I was really, up in the 300s, the doctor was telling me that, I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, borderline diabetic. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. I had a lot of underlying health issues, autoimmune diseases that were starting to kind of rear their ugly heads because I wasn't dealing with all the stuff that was going on underneath the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I was like, okay, well, I'll lose the weight, and I ended up losing the weight and I still was unhappy. So I knew that there was something else that was hindering me moving forward. And yeah, I really don't think I would be here if I didn't.
I came to the
Yeah.
same conclusion. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
when it's something that big for some people, it is such a deep part of themselves that when you deny that, when you repress that, it's hard to continue for sure.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And so I would love to just kind of explore with your modalities, with all of your tools,
Yes. Yeah.
relating, the human design, the astrology, the Reiki. How does that relate to people's self love and their healthy eating habits? How do those all intersect?
Oh my goodness. Of course I mean, yes, of course they intersect. It's like first of all, there's like I said, there's a lot of trauma that goes around spirituality. So people are a little leery about that. And so, I teach a lot of If people are a little leery, I go the scientific route and I
Mm-hmm.
explain the science and stuff like that. And, you know, our bodies are made up of energy. We learn that from science.
Mm-hmm.
And and because we vibrate our atoms and protons and all the things, they vibrate at such a high caliber that it creates a solid mass. So it creates us, creates our solid mass. And what happens when energy gets discombobulated, when energy goes all crazy and goes all wacky, that's what happens in our bodies. Our bodies gets all like, the energy is just running rampant, and so many things, we can take on so many things. I mean, and this is not woo woo. This is actual science. It's like you walk into a room and you can instantly feel kind of something's not right, or something feels
Yes.
weird, or and people are like, well, I get, oh, it's just a weird feeling, or maybe I'm just having an off day or something. It's like, no, like your body is physically telling you that there's something going on. And so because, because because of that, it's like energy gets crazy. And so using energy healing work um, to kind of release and let go of some of that stuff. And I mean, there's been studies that have shown that if you have so fibromyalgia, I can't even say the word fibromyalgia. Yes, we'll just go with that. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but it's I have a hard time speaking sometimes. But it is it's disassociated and disorganized and discombobulated energy that in different pockets in our bodies that affects us. Like this is like I've read scientific stuff that says that it's because of what's going on inside. And so energy is a big thing. Energy is all around us, like everywhere. And so there's that. So and then you take the spirituality of like the intuitiveness, the empathness, being an empath. Like, I mean, I can feel people's emotions. I can feel what they're experiencing. No, I'm not a mind reader. What I read is the energy. And that's what a lot of people get mixed up, because they're like, oh, you're psychic. Like, can you read my mind? And it's like, no, I can't read your mind, but I can read the energy of what's going on. And so then being able to tap into that, of course, with their permission, I'm able to get on another deeper level with them and really find out what's going on. Same thing with human design. So the human design, the Enneagram, all those, they're just basically personality tests. And so I'll run people's charts. I'll run their human design chart. I'll run their astrology chart. And it just, again, it's just on a deeper level, because then you can tell the person, okay, this is what you should be focusing on. This is what you can be focusing on. And I've gone as detailed as like, these are the colors you could wear that would benefit you. This is the makeup. This is the way you can wear your hair. This is the clothes that you can wear, the shoes you can wear, the food that you can eat. Like, if you really want to go that route. So there's a lot of benefits to knowing like different, like your Enneagram or the human design, like all those personality chart, all those the disc, are really beneficial to know, because it helps you. It's just another tool to help you along the way. I mean,
Yeah,
we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So anything that we can help with our human experience,
I
I'm going
agree.
to grab a hold of.
Absolutely. It's just a better understanding of ourselves and
Yes.
therefore
Yes.
others as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you mentioned animal communication, and I just love this. I'm such a fan, and I've dabbled. It's not a specialty of mine, but I think it's not as talked about
No, it
as
isn't.
all the other kind of spiritual things and modalities. What would you like to share about animal communication?
Okay, well, I'll share you a story of
Oh,
a
okay.
childhood story of mine. So, because it was kind of, it's not that I was rejected, just I was very different, and I knew that I had these gifts, but I didn't know what they were, and I didn't know how to explore them. And I was like, I just thought everybody, for a while, I just thought everybody had these gifts, which They kind of do, but they just don't, they choose not to tap into them or not. So we all are innately intuitive.
Right.
We're all empaths in some degree. And so I started talking to animals. And then I realized that I could talk to like anything that had living energy or anything that actually had energy contained in it. So rocks, crystals, stones, they were in the earth at one time, trees, plants, flowers, like anything, animals especially. So I had a pet duck when I was little, and her name was Jenny. And she followed me everywhere. Like anytime I go outside, she'd follow me around. Like she was just like a little puppy dog. And we had gotten a new dog at the time, and the dog had actually taken a bite out of her hind. And so she lost part of her back end. And so the vet said that she wasn't going to make it, and I was just so distraught. And so, I'm like, she was my best friend. Like she was
Yeah.
just, I loved her. And I I would go out there every day and I would just hold her and I would just talk to her and I would just rock her and I'd be like, it's okay. Everything is okay. Everything is fine. You're going to heal. You're going to heal. And you can call that prayer. You can call it whatever you want to call it. She grew herself back. Like she grew her hind back. She grew her feathers back, everything completely. I healed her with the help of my team, my
For
guides, my
sure.
angels, I mean, but I healed her. And it was one of those stories that I'm just like, did this really happen? Like, this, is this possible? And so I knew that was possible. And I've been told that like when I put my hands on people, anything, like they can feel it, they feel something. And so I've always been a healer. I know this. I know probably past lives I've been a healer. I just came in being like that. But the animal communication, I kind of go back to that is like it I love animals. I love animals. And people ask me all the time, like, why didn't you go into doing something with animals? And it's like, well, I do. I talk to them all the time. It's like, but I think humans need more help than animals do. Really.
That's a good point.
Animals can take care of themselves. And so I've always been around animals. I've always had relationships with animals, and I've just always been able to talk to them. And people ask me, well, what do they say? And I said, well, they talk to me just like humans talk to me. Like they have personalities. They've been human before. They've experienced different things. So, like I've had, like for instance, there's one like right below me. His name is Gizmo, and he's just kind of a cranky old man, and he kind of just has that really cantankerous kind of attitude, like, I mean, and he literally, like, you can see the frown in his face. And, and since I have been here with so I'm staying with a friend right now, because I just got back from Europe a couple weeks ago. So I've only been in the US right now for a couple weeks. So I'm still kind of navigating and still exploring, still adjusting and acclimating. And all of the animals instantly connected with me. I mean, just have done things that their owners like, this cat has never done this before. Like, what is going on? And it happens like anytime I go to a person's house, a friend's house, anywhere, if they have animals, they just instantly draw to me. If I'm on a Zoom call, they just come in. It's it's like so random. So I almost feel like I have better relationships with animals than I do people than humans.
Isn't that relatable?
Yes. And they understand too. It's like we don't give our animals enough credit. Like I speak to them like I'm speaking to you. Like I'll have conversations with them and I know that they know what I'm talking about because they react to it and they respond to that.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That
I
is
That's one
beautiful.
of my favorite gifts is talking to animals.
I agree. I think that's one of the most beautiful things. And you mentioned being able to talk to anything with living energy. I love to talk to plants. Obsessed. Plants
Yes,
are my
yes.
life, and I think a lot of people find that super weird. And I think it's just really cool that other people are out here doing the same things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I would love to pivot a little bit and talk a little bit more about wellness. Um,
Okay.
because we don't get to do that quite as much as the spiritual things on this podcast. So take advantage of our time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Something you've said, I do a little bit of stalking on all of my guests. Something you've said before in your videos is rather than the fake it till you make it kind of thing, kind of breaking down, like fake it till you make it is not where we want to be. And I really like I get so torn about this personally because
Mm-hmm.
embodying your true self, embodying your power, playing the character of your highest version is something that has really helped me to get to where I am now. So I would love for you to kind of break that down for our audience and kind of
Yeah.
explain why it isn't the greatest thing and maybe an alternative if you have one.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you for stalking me on social media. I give anybody permission to stalk me on social media because you'll find out everything about me. I'm very transparent. I'm an open book. I just share what I share. No filter sometimes. No, I mean, filter, no filter is what I mean. Like, I'll just blah, 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 blah it out. And so, thank you. um, oh, goodness. The fake it until you make it, I think, is a bullshit statement because, and we've been conditioned and brainwashed to think that, oh, if you just act the act, and talk the talk, that, you walk the walk. No, 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 no. There's a lot of work that has to be done on the inside. So the healing, healing the stuff on the inside. And I can't remember what his name is, but he wrote a book, and I can't even remember the name of the book, but what I remember out of that is that he says, and I've said this before, that you don't have to love yourself. You don't even have to like yourself. You need to appreciate yourself and appreciate the body that you have, and to have an understanding that this is something that I say all the time, is that your body is your home, and it's the only home you've got. And if we don't take care of our homes, what happens? We get evicted. We don't live in our bodies any longer. And so doing what's necessary to take care of our bodies, to take care of what we need. And again, you don't even have to like yourself. You don't have to love yourself. You don't. You just have to take care of your human. And that's something that he says. It's like, you are your human. So I wake up every day and I say, okay, how am I going to take care of my human today? I don't even have to be in a good mood or anything like that. I'm just like, how do I take care of my human today? Okay, well, I'm gonna eat something that'll fuel this body I'm in. I'm gonna meditate because that's something that I like to do. I'm going to go take a walk out in nature because that's something I really love to do. So just having a list of things that you have to take care of your human. Yeah. So, I mean, we want to take care of ourselves. We want to stay in our bodies. We want to do the things necessary. So some of the things that another person can do is just simply saying, like, and I know this is just healing, more doing more healing work, is journaling, like getting it out of your head, like, get it out, get it out, get it out, like do a brain dump of all the things, because we tend to suppress and numb and cope and just push down and repress and do all the things not to feel the feelings, which feeling the feelings is the most important thing that we can do. It's we need to, it's not a weakness, it's a sign of strength to feel our emotions. So journaling, and it's not everybody likes to journal, but it's really beneficial. Meditating, like I said, and My idea of meditating, you don't, and a lot of people's like ideas think that they need to sit in a space and do the they think what the yogis do, and it's like no, 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 no. Like there's so many different forms of meditation. You can go out in nature and just focus on the birds and the bees and the trees and all the things, and focus on the noises and be present in the moment. Or you can do a guided meditation where somebody's actually walking you through something, or just listening to music, or just sitting in silence. I mean, how many people out there like just sit in silence? Like my business coach told me this, and I thought it was the craziest thing ever. I'm like, there is no effing way. I don't know if I can swear on this,
Curse all you
but
want.
okay. Curse all I want. Okay, there's no fucking way that I'm just gonna sit and do absolutely nothing. Like, how is that possible? I did it. It was like I set a timer on my phone. I put my phone across the room so I didn't see the timer, and I just sat in silence and just sat there. And it really helped. It just helped move some things some chaos that was going on in my head. So there's lots of different things that we can do to get us into that state. So the whole fake it till you make it is like, it's a bullshit thing to say. It's like fake it until you believe it, or not fake it, but just, it's not faking it. It's like, okay, I'm going to say, I'm going to do the things, and I really want to consciously and set an intention to do these things. I might not like it right now, but I'm going to continue to do them because I know eventually I'm going to reframe my subconscious into saying, yeah, this is the way it should be, or this is great. This is the way I'm going to do it. So the fake it is like, it's not faking it. It's like you might not like it. The same thing with like, you might not like yourself, but you can appreciate yourself. So there's just so many different things. Positive affirmations is another thing too. Now, the only caveat I have to positive affirmations, making sure that you're in the right mindset first before you say any kind of affirmation. It doesn't matter what it is, but usually affirmations are positive. So, or somewhere in the positivity realm. Because if you're not in the right mindset, your bullshit detector is going to go off. And it's going to say, no, 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 you're lying to yourself because we believe this about ourselves. And you're trying to squeeze in these little lies and saying these things that we just don't believe right now. So making sure that you put yourself in check, making sure that you're at least in a neutral space or in a positive space, to fully take in and integrate any affirmation. Because, I mean, there's so many things that we've subconsciously taken on, and we've had so much conditioning and brainwashing and in beliefs and habits and stories that half of the time they aren't even ours. They're from society or our parents or the people that were around us growing up. Those were some big revelations for myself personally, as I remember I had some of these behaviors that weren't even mine, and these beliefs that I'm like, I went through, so I do NLP, neuro linguistics programming, and I went through a certification to be a master practitioner in that. And one of the steps was, because we do your own work during the training, and I had this realization. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, that's a belief that a parent had. And I took that on as thinking, this is what I believe. And I'm like, no, like, so once I was able to move through that and transition through that and reframe that belief, then it no longer bothered me anymore. So positive affirmations are really helpful. They really are very beneficial. But again, being in the right mindset first.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot about how affirmations can be very helpful, but
Yes.
I think it's that faking it word, that fake it, because it feels fake. And that's why I don't like the phrase fake it till you make it, because we shouldn't be faking anything. Authenticity is so valuable. And so when I frame it for myself or for my clients, I'm always saying embody the version that you want to be, the part of you that
Yes.
already exists
Yes.
that's just sleeping right now. Put that on
Yes.
like a
Yes.
costume that is your true self.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
that is a really helpful reframe for, especially for
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I've even said, borrow my belief. Borrow my belief that I believe in you. And
That's
they're like, okay,
something,
well, what would
yes.
Liza do? And I've had so many people and clients, not even clients, potential clients, just people reach out to me and then say, oh my God, I heard you talking in my head this morning. Like, what were you doing in my head? And I knew that I had to, I was not being very nice to myself. And I heard Liza say, like, believe in yourself, but it's like, yeah, borrow my belief until you believe it.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting. I've always said, I think I've even put it on some of my podcast episodes where I say, I believe in my clients, I believe in you until
Yeah.
you're able to believe in yourself. Like, I'm just going to
Yes.
show you how it's
Yes.
done because I can see all the
Yes.
great things about you.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
a really transformational. I love that. It's so similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing I love to talk about a lot is meeting people where they're at. Like, don't
Mm-hmm.
try to be, level expert professional when you're still
Mm-hmm.
learning out how to, work the game. Um, and
Yes.
I think it's so important to just treat ourselves with kindness.
Yes.
And so, is this something you also see in your practice where people are trying to be level 10 when they're still just trying to figure out the game?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, even myself, like we are constantly on this evolutionary, transformational journey, adventure, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some people call it a crap show. I don't know, crap shoot, whatever. But I look at it as a journey, as an adventure, and I'm learning and I'm constantly growing and evolving myself. And I can even tell when I'm leveling up, because I'll go through my own stuff and I'll go through my own healing and my own, just healing all on a much deeper level. And I think I look at I talk to my guides and my angels and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I thought I already healed this already. And they're like, it's just another layer. And I'm like, just like, what? I'm like, I thought I healed that already. But yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of people that just have been stuck in that perfectionism and overachieving mode that they're just like go 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 do 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 do. We got to get this done like right now. It has to change, shift right now. And we live in a society that's based on like the just getting it right then and there. Like, I just want it right then and there. Right then and there. I need it right now. Need it right
Yeah,
now.
instant
And that's what sets
gratification.
us instant gratification, yes, and that's what sends us backwards every single time because old patterns, old beliefs, old stories, things will get triggered that will send us backwards again, over and over and over again. And so you gotta take it slowly. So I repurpose a lot of my content or I'll redo it. Because I'll look at myself in the video and I'm like, I've kind of changed. Let's redo that video, but I'll use the same content. It's just a different version of it. So I just did a video today about this, about like, really taking it slowly and in increments, what I like to call baby steps. So taking small baby steps. And sometimes it's really hard for people to do that because they haven't been able to experience it that way before. And so I tell them, and I say, well, think of the story, because a lot of the people I work with are the Gen Xers and the boomers. However, I do work with a lot of millennials as well. And so a lot of people remember the tortoise and the hare story. Like the tortoise took its time, like took the time, that, didn't waste all the energy, where the hare was like, I gotta get to the finish line, like right now. So a lot of us are like the hares in life, like the rabbits, like we're just like we gotta go do the things and do the things, but it's like, no, that's what's got you caught up every single time, and that's what sends you backwards every single time, and you keep staying in this cycle and staying in the spins of whatever it is on the hamster wheel. And that's why you're now seeing me, because I will make you take your time in baby steps and slowly. And so it's tough for some people to kind of grasp that. In the beginning, it's, when I'm coaching with somebody, they're like, just give me all the things. Let's just do all the things. And I said, no, 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 no. That's not how that works. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get a little bit here and a little nugget here and a little nugget there and just a little bit of content here, but it'll be the same kind of content, just in different fashions and in different states. So you're getting it in a well-rounded way, but slowly.
Yes. And I think, especially for perfectionistic people,
Hmm.
it can be so hard to have to relearn a lesson. And I
Yes.
often
Yeah.
will reframe this to clients as, you took your final exam in class, you had your test,
Hmm.
you did your exam, and you have now had more extra time to study. You get to do it again. You've had more time to
Yeah.
study,
Yeah.
more time to reflect on your last test. And so I think if we can remember that it's always a journey and we will always
Oh, it
continue
is.
to relearn and
Yes.
relearn. And it
Yes.
doesn't mean you
Yes.
failed, it doesn't mean you messed up.
No.
It's just you get to
No.
do it again better.
Yes. This is so interesting that you say this, that you bring this up, because I have a couple friends that are kind of stuck in this mode where they're like, "Oh my gosh, I failed," or "Oh my gosh, I did this wrong," or "I made a mistake." And I said, "No. You 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 made the decision or the choice that you made at the time with the tools and the resources that you had at that time. So it taught you a lesson, it taught you something that you'll do it differently next time. And when we fail, if when a person says, I just failed, it's like, did you give up? Well, no, I didn't give up. I took a different route. Okay, well, you didn't fail. You didn't fail at anything. You just learned a lesson. So what can we do differently, next time?
Absolutely.
And people don't understand that. And how I look at it is, I look at it as, especially fear, because we get so caught up in the, we're so afraid to do things, so afraid to get out of our comfort zone, we're so afraid to take the leap, we're so afraid to do this thing, when that's the most beneficial thing that you can do, is to feel into the fear, because it's going to get you to the next place in life. So fear is like a roadmap, like to the next destination, to the next sign. So I look at fear as like my best friend. I look at failure as like, yeah, okay, well, what are you teaching me today? Like, what can I learn going forward? What can, what choice or decision can I make later on that will have a different impact?
Yes, it's shifting
Yeah,
from happening to you, things are happening for you. And that came up
exactly.
for me with a friend of mine yesterday. Um,
Yeah.
and I love that, fear being your best friend. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to have to sit with that one.
Yeah.
I often have dealt with like taking the leap and having that fear of possible failure, quote unquote, um, with kind of asking myself what would be worse. Pulling in the logic, what would be worse if I took this leap, tried this thing, and with no expectation, just detach from whatever and just try it? Or a year from now, I look back and say, what if I had done that? Which one's going to be
Right.
worse? Because the what ifs for me are way worse than like, I screwed up. And if I go in with no expectations, just hoping to
Yes.
have fun and speak my truth or whatever
Yes.
I'm aiming for, I think
Yeah.
taking the leap seems a lot less scary. If you can ask
Yeah.
yourself, take the leap or wonder what if. Personally, that's really helped me get a lot of things done in my life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We just need to get out of our comfort zone, and just a little bit, like, again, baby steps, just doing a few different things that'll get people out of that zone, because you're never going to grow or evolve as a person if you don't get out of that zone.
What I love to talk about is expanding your comfort zone. Like it's a
Yes, because it
flexible
will.
bubble. Just
Yes.
like push it a
Yes.
little bit, push it a little bit. It might get stretched, it might be a little uncomfortable, the tiniest bit, but expand that comfort zone because you don't have to go out and
Yes.
be unsafe or terrified, but
Oh, no.
just stretch a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, just a tiny bit, and then, and then feel into that, and your comfort zone is going to grow as you grow too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna be a little bit more challenging in a good way, because, again, that's how you grow and evolve as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I love that. And I would love to share just a little personal body love win, because I've been watching your channel quite a bit. I've also sent it to quite a few friends. It's wonderful content. Everybody go watch it. It's great. So I wanted to share my little win. Is a few months back, I bought my first like crop top, and that was something as a teenager. I was like, this is the thing. This is the thing. Then they went out of style, and I never allowed myself. It was always the ew. I could never, and I did.
Yeah.
And I'm in love.
Yay.
Like, I just am in love with how this looks on me. And it was just a moment of like, wow, like I didn't realize that I actually love my body. And that was a truly revolutionary, like I get a little emotional talking about it.
Yes.
Do you have any
getting me emotional?
Right?
Yes.
No,
I'm like,
do you have any stories of kind of shocking moments where you realized, oh, I do love my body a little bit more than I realized?
Yeah, so I do a talk called Making the Mirror Your Friend. And I do have the video somewhere out on YouTube. So whoever's listening to this, if you want to check that out, I do have a version of it out there. And so where I talk about how to make the mirror your friend. Because what do we do when we look in the mirror? We nitpick at all the imperfections. We look at all the things that are negative about ourselves, and we just pick and pick and pick and bully, bully, bully and criticize ourselves. And so being able to go to the mirror, and again, it goes back into you don't even have to like or love yourself. Just look at yourself in the mirror. Just look at yourself. You don't even have to say anything to yourself. If you want to make an impact, then yeah, say I like you, or even go for the big one. Say I love you, because eventually you'll rewire those thoughts, that thought pattern.
And that's
Well, of course,
again
I'm getting
with
ahead
those...
of exactly. I'm getting ahead of myself with the story though. But so I hated the mirror. Like growing up, I hated the mirror. I've even punched mirrors before because I didn't like what I saw. And I would avoid them all the time. I would avoid pictures. I would avoid doing any of those things because I'm like, I don't like how I look. Now I love rewatching my content. I watch my own videos. I rewatch my content. I love watching me. And it's not a vain thing. It's like I love myself enough. I'm like, I know this. I know. I love me. I love me. And so I enjoy me. And so I'm like, I'm going to watch me. So I went through my own transformation and my own journey. And the first time I really, because I suffered from body dysmorphia too, which for some people, if you don't know what body dysmorphia is, it just means that you really literally you see a monster, and it's a very distorted version of yourself in the mirror. And because I'd been, one size and I'd been another size, it didn't matter. I always was unhappy with that reflection. And so when I started doing the healing work, I would go to the mirror, I would just kind of look, I'd be like, okay, well, what is one thing on my face or one thing about myself that this might be okay? And so I'd be like, and just kind of, just a little thing like, oh, I like my eyes, or I just maybe the way my hair is that day or something like that. Just little things. And so I teach clients this too, people, everybody this, but when I was able to look at myself in the mirror really for me, the first time of actually seeing me, my true, authentic, real, raw self, I didn't even believe it was me. I actually had a friend next to me and I said, who's that person in the mirror? I mean, I know it sounds like a silly question to ask, but I'm like, who is that person? Like, and they're like, dude, that's you. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, that's not me. That's me? Ooh, I'm pretty. I'm gorgeous. And I've had the same similar, I've been told the same similar stories to other people that I've got, that I've helped and I've coached and I've gone through, like specifically like one particular woman that I worked with hated herself in pictures. She avoided herself. She was in her 50s at the time that we were coaching. And she's like, to look at myself in the mirror, that's disgusting. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm disgusting, whatever, like just this just negative dialogue. And, always make excuses, would hide in the back, or all you see is her little face, or make an excuse to take the picture herself. And so I gave her the tools and the techniques, and a couple of them that I talk about in making the mirror your friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I can't do those. No, I can't do those. Those are just, oh. And I said, well, just start small. Again, just look at yourself in the mirror. Just look. You don't even have to like yourself. Just look. And so I remember I got a call from her one day, and she said, I don't know what you did to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what happened? Like what, I'm thinking like just the extreme, like something really happened. She said, I had my picture taken today, and the first thing I thought was, I am beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, that's my story. Like, oh my gosh, like I get goosebumps every time I tell that story because it's so powerful to go almost your entire life to see yourself in one light and then see yourself in a different, totally transformed, and to really truly see your authentic self and to accept yourself. That's priceless. And I still to this day get messages from her with the pictures with the caption like, look how beautiful I am.
Oh,
I mean, oh my God. Can you imagine? Like, oh,
that's beautiful.
it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I have lots of little stories like that, but
Sure.
that's just the most impactful one because, again, the mirror shows your reflection. And, we see our reflection differently. We've only seen ourselves based off of our reflection, first of all. So the way other people see us is completely different than how we actually see ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
That's such a good point. I think when I first dabbled with that concept of like, I've only ever seen a reflection or a picture, I've never seen me, that
Yeah.
really rocked my world. I'm kind of really into the relative reality, and I just kind of had this whole moment of like, I actually don't really know what I look like to everybody else. And that actually did help me understand that I am like a lovable person at that time. It was like, well,
Yeah.
they see a version of me that I don't. And that must
Yeah.
be, I'm good enough in some way. And I think all of these
Yes.
concepts kind of
Yeah.
interweave with each other, and it's a beautiful uh, tapestry that they come together to
Yeah.
form.
Yeah.
If on the topic of this, like loving yourself, if there was one
Mhm.
message you could just scream from the rooftops, just tell the world, what would that message be?
So I kind of, this is funny that that this is the way that's segued in. So I kind of already said it, but I'll reiterate it. So
You get a second
the
chance.
three most, right, exactly. The three most powerful words that you can say to yourself is I love you. It is. We can say that to every single person around us, our fur babies, children, if you have them, grandparents, whoever it is, we can say, I love you too, but we have the hardest time saying, I love you to ourselves. And so the most impactful thing that you can do is say those three little words to yourself. So anybody who's listening, I challenge you for at least the next 5 days, go to the mirror and say, I love you. Again, you don't have to believe it right now. Borrow my belief that I know that you're gorgeous and you're beautiful and I love you. I don't even know you, but I love you. So believe that and just say that. Now, things aren't going to shift overnight. Things aren't going to shift in 5 days, but at least do 5 days and then see how you feel about yourself. See, has there been anything even the slightest little shift in your attitude, in anything around you? Now, if you want, continue going on. If you continue going on, you will actually override that thought that you don't love yourself. Now, science says, I'm a little science nerd, so I'll give everybody a little science here. Science says that if you are attracted to someone or something, your pupils actually dilate. Okay. So if you're attracted to something or someone, your pupils actually dilate. I can see you know where I'm going with this. So if you go to the mirror every single morning and say, I love you to yourself, and notice your pupils are starting to dilate, you are consciously overriding the fact that you didn't love yourself and that you do love yourself now if you notice your pupils dilating. Now, I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there. Because your pupils dilate when you're attracted to something or someone, don't go up to your boyfriend or girlfriend or whomever, your partner, whomever, and see, oh, are their pupils dilated? Do they love me? I'm not responsible for that. So I'm just telling you, like, if their pupils don't dilate, I'm not responsible for that. But yes, I mean, it just continue doing it. And if you notice that, it's like you are overriding something within your body that, like, hey, you're overriding this belief about yourself. Yes.
You just unlocked a memory for me. When I started on my self love journey,
Yeah.
it was the looking in the mirror and finding one thing I liked. And I would stand like 2 inches from the mirror because I love my eyes
Yeah.
and the rest was
Yeah.
hard. So I would start there and I was like, okay, I like my eyes. Those are great. And I'd back
Yeah.
up just a little bit
Yeah.
and look a little more. And after a while, I would do my, 2 minutes or whatever my time was. And then I would stick around and I would just keep looking at my eyes and like, oh, look, oh, my hair's kind of nice too. And I started to notice that my eyes would just like dilate. And I was like, what is going on? What is this weird? And I had completely forgotten that. But I didn't know that was in the science, but that's so, what a fun little
Yes.
fact. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of coaches out there that do the I love you or do the mirror work. There's a lot of coaches do mirror work. Like Mel Robbins does the high five in the mirror. There's Louise Hay that does mirror work. There's a bunch of different people. Lisa Nichols, I know, does some mirror work. But again, people resonate with science, and so when I tell them that about the scientific perspective of that and like what happens, they're like, "Oh, wow." Like they don't understand. So I always like to, like, anything that I do, like all of us coaches, we do really teach a lot of the same things, but we put our own spin on it and we put our own energy and embodiment into it, and we put our own selves and our authenticity and all the things into it. So whoever's going to resonate is going to resonate with that. So again, if you can't say I love you to yourself in the mirror, again, look at yourself in the mirror, do what Mel Robbins says, the high five, something, that you're acknowledging that you're present, you're in front of yourself, and that just appreciate yourself. Just even, you could even say, I appreciate you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think bringing those affirmations down to level one, they're positive, but more along the lines of I'm worthy of being alive, or
Yes.
I am
Yes.
okay to take up my space that I do. I'm okay to breathe air like
Yes.
everybody else. Whatever level you have to meet yourself at is good enough, and just keep building those layers. And I think that was truly transformational for me, and I find that to be really helpful for a lot of people. I think you jump into those affirmations that I am powerful and beautiful, and that's a jumping in the deep end. You don't know how to swim.
Yes. Right. Right. Just say I appreciate you. Like,
Yeah.
like, or you got great eyes, you got a great butt, like whatever. I mean, it's like just, and that's another thing with compliments too, because women especially, or really anybody, however you identify, it doesn't matter. We've been compliments, if we've been like stuck in that story, that not good enough story over and over again, not telling ourselves the opposite of all the things. Anytime we receive a compliment, we're not going to believe it because we've been telling us. So as soon as, when somebody comes up and says, oh gosh, you're just so beautiful. I love your eyes. I love your hair, whatever it is. And immediately your subconscious is going, no, 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 no. They're lying to you because you told us this about ourselves. So we're going to believe this over what they said. And then it's like, take a step back. It's like when you're in that mode, like, how do you think the other person feels? You're rejecting them. You're saying, no, you're a fucking liar. Like, you're not telling me the truth. But it's because subconsciously we've been telling ourselves this old story over and over again. And I was just in the grocery store the other day, and there was this lady in front of me that had this gorgeous hair, just beautiful, long, flowy, curly hair. And I said, oh my gosh, I said, I love your hair. It is so beautiful, so gorgeous. And she's like, oh, no, no. And I said, just say thank you. And she kind of looked at me like, almost like it wasn't like a how dare you kind of thing. It was like she looked at me like, okay, thank you. Like it just kind of shocked her for a second. I said, well, I work with women, like especially women who don't, that are really that can't take a compliment. That's one of the small little things that I help people do. And I said, we get in such a story about ourselves that we can't accept a compliment. And I said, just say thank you. I'm like, just say thank you. I said, it's the same thing with saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry to everything is a bullshit response that we should never say to anybody unless we actually are sorry for something. But we are so conditioned to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Or I can't accept that. Or, oh, no, no, that's not right. That's not true. That's not true. Just say thank you.
I think that's
Yeah.
a sneaky way that shows up in people. You hear that a lot. I was definitely a,
Mhm.
oh no, stop that, no. And I did. It is exactly as you said. Thank you. And internally, I can
Yes.
be going like, I don't think that's true. But
Yeah.
the thank you is speaking it out into the world, and you hear
Yes.
it yourself. I
Yes.
think
Yes.
that's a really sneaky way it shows up. We don't really
It is.
recognize. What are
No.
other sneaky ways that maybe perfectionism or anything along the lines of your work? How do those show up that people don't really talk about?
Because we've been so brainwashed and so conditioned, I mean, there's lots of sneaky little things that we do to ourselves. And first of all, there's no such thing as being perfect. There's no such thing as being perfect. And there is nothing like, and so trying to be at that caliber, that level, it's non-existent. It doesn't exist. We are perfectly imperfect beings. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
It always should be. And being your most authentic and real, raw self and showing that vulnerability and showing that, yeah, I do mess up and I'm not always perfect. And I don't know, like they're going to use the word perfect, everybody's going to use that word, but it's like just showing that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to, especially overachievers, it's like we're constantly, like trying to achieve. Like me growing up, so most people were not actually told that they weren't good enough, or they just had, people around them were just kind of had sneaky ways. Well, why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Da, 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 da. I was actually physically told that I was not good enough. And it did a number to my psyche. And I was also told that if I didn't do X, Y, and Z, I would not be successful. Or if I didn't achieve this over here, I would not be successful. And so I had this belief in my head that if I wasn't like this, or if I wasn't in this profession, or didn't do this way or that way, I was not successful. And it took me years to unravel that, years and years. And I had to define my own parameters of what I thought success was. And to me, it's like I woke up, that's successful. I got out of bed, that's successful. I was able to go take a bath or a shower, that's successful. I'm able to walk, I have legs that walk, that's successful. I mean, it's almost like having gratitude too. It's like for me, they kind of go intermingled. And so we have this ideal of what we think we need to be. And when we don't get to that space, then we basically reject ourselves. So, we tell ourselves that we're not good enough as we are and we'll never ever be good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That's really harsh to tell ourselves that. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
that's kind of, it's not in those exact words, but that's kind of the dialogue that, if I don't do this, I'm not good enough. Or if I don't do it this way, then I'm not successful. And so just even the words, I mean, words have such a profound impact on how we show up, but it's not the words, it's the energy that we attach to that word. It's the emotion that we have when we say that word to ourselves. And so, yeah, it is very profound. And so, just being very mindful of the dialogue that you say to yourself first thing in the morning, or when you go to the mirror every single morning and look at yourself, just be more mindful. I teach a lot of mindfulness in my coaching, mindfulness eating, mindfulness with the mind, mindfulness with the body, like all encompassing all the things. Just being more in tune and really being conscious of what you say to yourself.
Absolutely. We run on autopilot so much.
Yes. Yes.
I think when you explain to someone mindfulness who's never heard of it before, it's like they're like, well, what do I think about? Well, okay, go on a walk. And what do you see right in front of you? Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about when you get home. Don't think about yesterday. Don't worry about dinner. Don't worry about your kids.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see right in front of your face? What do you smell?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's almost like difficult. It is difficult when you first start trying mindfulness to just stay in that moment. So, one question I like to ask all of my guests, Liza, is if you could leave behind any legacy you could choose to leave behind, what would you leave behind?
Every 8 years, it's like I feel like I've gone through this huge rebirthing kind of thing, this huge transformation. And I went through this healing course that was like pretty much the PhD of healing. So it's called a Mastery of Self course, and it's really, really detailed and very intense. It's 28 days straight. And I learned what my mission was. I learned what my purpose was. And so now it's like every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, how can I embody my mission today? How can I embody my purpose? And so my mission and my purpose is to be loved, to show love, and to help others transform through love. And so my legacy that I want to leave is that I showed as many people as possible how to transform themselves through love.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's all about love.
The
Because love is the
transformation.
highest vibrational level that we can get to. And just love is such a powerful vibration to be in. Yes.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and being patient with all of our technical difficulties.
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
so, would you share with everybody where they can find you and what kind of things you do out there on the internets?
Yes, on the internet. I'm everywhere. So again, social media stalk me. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest. My website is super easy to find. It's lizalomax.com, and it'll show you all the details on there. I also do a lot of my modalities separate. So if you need a reading or a healing or communicate with your animal, those are all listed on my website as well separately. And and any of my coaching stuff, I always offer a free session. So if anybody's interested in just like having a conversation, like where you're at, where you want to be, and then try to map out the roadmap to get you there, like what it is. So it's just a very organic conversation. So I always offer that. But you can pretty much put my name in Google and just a ton of things pop up. I mean, I've done over, like, probably since COVID, I've probably done over 300 podcast interviews.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. So you can find me everywhere.
That is wonderful. Well, thank you again so much. I appreciate you joining me today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you want to stick around for witchy content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out some of my offers down in the description wherever you are watching or listening. Be sure to like the video if you took something away from it, and comment down below what your favorite moment from this interview was. I know I really loved that little science tidbit about the mirror and everything. I'd love to hear what you liked and what stuck with you. Remember, be well, be kind, and may your curiosity for this world and the next never fade.